The biggest change between now and 2 months ago is we have many more people working from home. So the only people who come into the office at the moment are those who are needed to be in the office to make the live radio show work. So Emma's programme is on between 10 and 1. We've always tried to plan half of it in advance, and half of the items are fixed on the day, and that's still the case. It means that half the team are at home, are looking for content, and then we all get together at 1 o'clock and have a Zoom chat after the show for a debrief to have a look at sort of future ideas. The other thing that seems to have changed a little bit is how the BBC is sort of perceived. During the Brexit negotiations and the election, and straight after the election, it felt a little bit like the BBC was under attack. Many people, for varying reasons, seem to dislike us. Anecdotally, that seems to have changed. Listener figures are up, audience appreciation is up too. We get sent an AI index, an audience appreciation index, and that shows that people are liking what we do. In a time of national crisis, the BBC is an organisation that people cling to. What's interesting about 5Live is that traditionally we've always been seen as Radio Bloke. It's something we try to fight, we try to challenge that perception. But during Brexit phone-ins, men rang up to shout at the radio. Now, in this current situation with coronavirus, far more women are texting and calling into the show, asking for help, asking for advice, or to share their experiences. Personal experiences have always been key to our programme. That's what makes radio sing. People sharing their stories are what listeners relate to. But now much of our output is about how people have adapted to kind of deal with the new normal. So the businesses changing what they do to make ventilators or PPE, stories of people coping during lockdown, changing what they do, how they react. But the other thing we are all desperate for is positivity and joy. That's why Captain Tom raised 28 million quid, because it made people smile and inspired, and that's what people want now. In terms of what will change in our industry, I'm sure in the future more people will work from home, but it won't change our desire to want people in a studio. So radio is a conversation, and an interview sounds better if the interviewer and guest can look at each other, directly interact. I mean, it's the same as, right, a Zoom pub call is not as good as going to the pub with friends. Radio is exactly the same. And the other thing I would say is more and more of what I do is trying to put clips of interviews online. All our studios are set up now to have brilliant cameras in them. They make better film than a dodgy handheld mobile. The one thing I would say to PRs in terms of helping us in the future is know your pitch and sell it well. So with so many people working from home, we are all drowning in emails. So that means I am much more likely to hit the delete button very quickly. So your pitch needs to be quick and to the point, and it also needs to show an understanding of my show and what we do. So sending me a generic email that will also get sent to, lots of other shows is much more likely to get ignored, because it's not going to instantly work on on my show. So I would just say target your pitch specifically. My show is very different to what a breakfast show or a drive show actually needs. The other thing I would say is that I have to cover coronavirus every single day. So there is only one health story in town. So if your pitch is about another health story, it has to be absolutely brilliant to make it on air. The other thing that people really want at the moment is answers and advice. We do lots and lots of phone-ins. The first 2 weeks was all about kind of medical phone-ins, doctors, virologists telling us stuff. That's died down a little bit now, but what is still key is advice and help with things like travel. Everyone's got a holiday booked and they want to know if they can still go, or advice and help with businesses and employees. Kind of what are people's new rights in the new normal. But also, I would just say again, positive stories. Every day I have to report horrific death figures. It's really important that I do. That's what I have to do. But it means that in a 3-hour show, I can't do much else that is heavy news. I need to bring joy.